amount of damage before he could even start to build the counter to it.
Yeah, and it didn't look like he was preparing for the corruptors. It was just kind of the next step. Like he didn't have, like you said, any room in his army, and he didn't have like any real transition. Like he wasn't building corruptors. He wasn't like preparing for them with the injects. And it's going to start into our second game. We're going to see how those playstyles change. So in the bottom right, once again, we have our Zerg player up 1-0 with overall just very solid macro play. It's HyppiCorpo.
And in the top left, see about a comeback in our light blue trunks. Heartland Hitmen's Spork.
Being a little Total Biscuit.
Yes. Total Biscuit, the best analytic caster that has ever lived.
Oh, don't be so BM. But Spork, once again, going to go for the Forge Fast Expand. He's actually going to lose that pylon as part of his wall, excuse me. And some people like to put the pylon back to be super safe, but this is going to allow him to get a little bit of a faster wall off. Once again, it looks like these players just don't play each other much, but there's nothing wrong with that. But it looks like you just want to be really safe. You know, nothing drastic. Given the playstyles last game, no Immortal Sentry all-ins. Like the Roach Hydra buff at the bust at the third was very standard. And it just looks like they want to get out these like standard straight up games, no cheese, nothing weird.
Very true. It would be interesting to see some cheese, though. Throwing that in a best-of-3 series, you and I had a talk about this. Just throwing in a cheese plays mind games, for the fun way of saying it, but just kind of lets the other player know that they can't just predict you will go a standard macro game, so they have to be very, very cautious in doing so.
Yeah. And you know very much, and maybe some people watching know that I love cheese. I use it a lot in tournaments.
And on your pizza.
It's very true. I often eat pizza with cheese.
Oh man.
Sometimes I like to fake out the cheese and maybe eat some like barbecue chicken pizza, and then I just flow on the cheese on top. No one even knows it coming.
Okay, so we'll see a little bit quicker expansion from Hippie this time. A little more properly timed. It's not quite as late as far as his mineral count. Standard wall off, it looks like, although I'll note that there is a gap in his wall that a Zergling could run through.
Something even more interesting. Spork sent down 2 probes, one to the gateway spot. He's actually making 2 gateways. He might want to be really aggressive here. And I think he wanted to clear out that drone, make it look like he was going to Nexus before the gateway this time, then actually just throw up 2 gateways because he had the probe there. And it just looks like Corpy just kind of saw it and he was like, well, screw this, I'm not expanding anyway, better not waste the mineral mining time. But I'm interested what he's going to see, what he's going to do with this, because he is mining gas. It might be a Stalker follow-up. He's got a 3rd gateway in the main. And it makes me wonder, maybe he'll go +1 Zealots and get a really late Nexus, or maybe he'll get a lot of Stalkers once this core finishes, but it is a very late core. And more pylons going up in the main. I'm very interested to see what he's going to do with this.
Very true. He is opting for a 1 pylon wall, which I'll only point out because were a counterattack to come, even with Lings, there's no cannon up. Doesn't look like he particularly intends to build a cannon quite yet. So these will be very vulnerable buildings right here, and a lot of tech that he can't really afford to lose.
That's very true. I think he's just relying on the Zerg player not getting speed, not getting that fast gas. Because if he did, he'd pretty much die right now. But I think he knows that that's not really Corpy's style based on the last game. And Corpy himself is playing very smart. A lot of Zergs are just continue to play standard, get up to the 3 base, but he's perfectly comfortable just staying 1 base ahead and defending this push. Because if you be too greedy, it is just Zealots, but you can easily die to that if you just... Because Zergs want to be as greedy as possible right before the push hits. If you don't see it coming, it could be big trouble. But he's playing really safe here, really smart, getting up 2 Spine Crawlers. He's got the Overlord in the main because he knows the core is late, and so he can see everything, and that Overlord's going to stay alive for a long time, just see the Zealot production so he knows to make spines, and he's playing this really well.
And it looks like the probe will make a pylon, but Hippie, again, that smart play, will see it with his scouting Lings, so that will be completely denied, and the probe will be forced home. Go home, probe.
Even getting trapped.
Yeah, and so Spork will have this +1 timing, but it's going to be a lot less fierce. He's kind of taken the teeth out of the tiger here, and delayed the reinforcements for Spork. Of course, part of this timing for Protoss is that that forward pylon will excuse me, I'm like lost for words here. Deny the defender's advantage that the Zerg would otherwise have in the very, very fast reinforcement timing.
Yeah.
So he'll be looking for more of an overwhelming start, but with 5 spines on the natural. Hippie may have played this too safely, but it's going to work out for him because that Nexus at the natural still isn't down, so Spork's kind of all in here.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, Hippie... I mean, you think that he played it way too defensively, but you have to remember, he saw everything with that Overlord, and he still sees that there's no Nexus up.
Right.
And, like, it's one of those things where if the Protoss went for, like, a Colossus play or a Void Ray play, he might have lost here, but he just knows that that's not coming. There's still no second gas. And to me, this looks a little bit like, I hate to be harsh, but it looks like Spork is just improvising a little bit too much here. Like, he kind of just, like, wanted to be aggressive. He's like, maybe I'll make the Nexus. No, maybe I'll make the Zealots. And then it just kind of didn't work out the way he wanted to. Actually, that Zealot is, like, stuck in the corner over there. Not sure if that's on purpose. But he still has a good chance to be aggressive here. He's not going to break into the natural. There's just too many spines. He doesn't have Blink. He doesn't have any real upgrades besides +1, but that won't help him with the spines, just with the Lings. So he might be able to kill a spine or two, force Lings, be a bit more aggressive. The Zerg is still on 20 workers, but the Protoss has a nice big bank, which he would like to spend. Still no second guess, still no Nexus, and he's actually getting a Robo and a 4th gate, so he wants to be just end the game right here. Apparently, you know, maybe after last game he thinks he can't win a macro game. Like, he just got a little bit outplayed. So maybe he just wants to, you know, end it, you know, no matter the cost, it can't get that late.
Right. Very, very, very possible. The 4th gate for more reinforcements. That robotics facility, I'd love to see an Immortal. In order to take down these spine crawlers, of course, being very good at that. He honestly, like you said, he was up in workers up until just now against the Zerg. I would have liked to see him honestly just make that Nexus and just say, you know, you're never going to leave 2 bases.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I felt like if the build was more refined, he could have known to take a Nexus off of that, but I felt like, you know, he kept adding on, like, the 2nd and 3rd gateway, or, like, the 3rd and 4th gateway, and then the Robo. He kept thinking, well, eventually I'm going to spend this money, but he's actually just, like, a little bit banking. He's even got 4 workers on the gas in his main. It just looks a little bit nervous, but he's doing an alright job. He's actually up in supply. But this will only last so long because the Zerg is looking to take a 3rd. He broke down those rocks, which are really smart. And eventually it's just going to get past the point where the Zerg feels safe and he will drone up.
This surround, though, he could kill the pylon.
Man.
Oh, no.
He's actually, this is smart. He's just going to run right past, and there's no wall. He can actually, that pylon that you were talking about earlier, that's a sick Artosis pylon, and he can actually just kill that and take down all the tech. Fun fact, if you kill the pylon, you can still build Stalkers, even if the core is depowered, but he won't be able to, use those gateways, and he's just going to go straight for the mineral line, take out the probes. And it looks like he's forced to push. He does have an Immortal, but really sloppy going up the ramp. Didn't get the concave beforehand. And Spork dropping the wall. Not sure if BM or if he just knows that this is over.
Yeah, this is not a good situation for him to be in. He needs to win with this push. To be honest, since those rocks are down, he could have just gone around the other side, but I guess that's not his intention.
Yeah. I don't know. The Zerg could have just relocated spines once he saw that. He does have the Overlord, which might have caught a glimpse of that. Actually, you know, he probably could have just walked around, and it might have been okay. He might have been able to get to the main, but now it's just 4 Zealots versus the world, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Very true. Very true. Those Lings. So, Spork understands there's some laughability to this.
Yeah.
But Spork, of course, coming from the winner's bracket versus Hippie in the loser's bracket, he'll have another best of 3, so he's got not quite as much pressure as Hippie does to win each and every one of these games.
And maybe he's giving Hippie a false sense of hope.
Oh, it's mind games.